Tens of thousands of people are gathered in Tehran for the main funeral ceremony of the late President Ebrahim Raisi and 7 others who died in a helicopter crash on Sunday. Well, let's have a look at the live shot coming from Tehran, where many of those have taken to the streets. They're holding photos of Mr Raisi. Some are carrying the Iranian flag, with Iran's ruling conservatives keen to project an image of unity and continuity. Well, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, will be leading prayers, and the caskets of those killed in that helicopter crash will then be taken through the streets to the city's main Azadi square. And among those attending is the Hamas leader, Ismail Haniyeh, who said that he'd come to represent the Palestinian people. Well, these are, as I say, just some of the live images. Our correspondent, Nico Kelbakiani, is following the story for us. So, Nico, once again, we're seeing many people on the streets, this time in Tehran. What can we expect today?
So today is the main ceremony for the funeral. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei just several minutes ago led the prayers for the late President Raisi, for Minister Amir-Abdollahian, and several other officials who were killed in the helicopter crash on Sunday. And now people will be marching towards the Azadi Square, and these main ceremony, and in the afternoon there are also some foreign guests expected to attend these ceremonies, including Pakistani Prime Minister, Iraqi Prime Minister, Turkish Vice President, Russian Parliament Speaker, and some others. This morning also Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh delivered a speech at the funeral. He praised President Raisi. He's recollected some of his meetings, recent meetings as well, where Raisi praised Hamas's 7 October attack on Israel, saying that it had hit Israel's heart. So yeah, today is the main ceremony, and tomorrow we'll be expecting some other ceremonies in other cities, and finally Raisi's burial in the northeastern city of Mashhad.
And Nico, given what we've been previously seeing, the protests in Iran, just give us a sense of course, we're seeing hundreds of thousands of people on the streets in support of the late president. But is that a genuine reflection of what people are saying? Because I know on social media there have been voices who have been speaking slightly differently when it comes to the president, quite a controversial figure.
Definitely, yeah. The state media wants to show this image that all of the Iranians, the millions, have come to the streets to mourn President Raisi and others, calling them martyrs of service to the people. And obviously, the establishment and state media wants to promote this image, and they've promoted these rallies and gatherings, many have showed up. But obviously, this is not a full image because, as you mentioned, these events come after just less than 2 years after the massive anti-establishment protest, nationwide protest in Iran. And many Iranians are disillusioned with the Islamic Republic. If you want to hear their voices, usually you can check the social media. There are some pro-establishment users obviously praising Raisi and mourning him, but there are multiple and numerous Iranian users that have celebrated actually Raisi's death, mocking him and making jokes about it. And even the judiciary warned people against such insults online, and saying that they would monitor these kind of tweets, maybe even filing charges against those who are inside Iran. And some people have already posted that have received some summons from the authorities for their covering or their reactions to Raisi's death.
Okay, well, for the time being, Nico Kelbakiani, thank you very much for just talking us through what we're seeing and also what we're expecting a little bit later on. For a little bit of context and analysis, let's cross over to speak to Dr. Sanan Vakil, director of the think tank Chatham House, the Middle East and North Africa program at Chatham House. When it comes to President Ebrahim Raisi, the late president, his loss, what does this mean for Iran? Because he was meant to be, it was felt that he was going to be the continuity person. He would be taking over from the Ayatollah. Where does this leave Iran now in terms of continuity?
Good morning. Certainly, the death of President Raisi is a difficult one for the Islamic Republic. We have no certain information as to whether President Raisi was going to succeed the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, who has been in power in Iran for over 3 decades. There was a lot of speculation from the analytical community, myself included, that perhaps Raisi was the right candidate or had the right credentials to succeed the Supreme Leader. Raisi not only was president, he was also a member of the Assembly of Experts, which is a body of 88 clerics that will be in charge of electing the Supreme Leader. And he was expected also to take the position as head of that body as well. So he sat in a number of institutions that were important. But Raisi on his own wasn't a particularly independent figure. He was a man of the system and very loyal to the Islamic Republic and specifically to Iran's Supreme Leader.
And when we see what is happening on the streets right now, we were talking to our correspondent who said that there is still a lot of dissent on social media. Is that something that will be coming through over the next days as we witness this funeral and this mass outpouring of grief across Iran?
I think that we have to put Raisi's death and the memorial ceremonies that we're seeing on TV in context. Certainly, the Islamic Republic wants to showcase unity, wants to showcase business as usual, and show that the system has support. That message is very important because we've seen also the Islamic Republic go through multiple rounds of very difficult protests, particularly the most recent ones from Mahsa Amini's death in September 2022, went on for quite some time. And they were very direct in targeting the highest levels of the state, and the government in Iran struck back quite forcefully and quite repressively. There is a very clear divide in Iran between the elite that is aging, very authoritarian, and that doesn't want to meet the demands of the people, and a young generation that is seeking reform and transformation of the state. So there are multiple Irans that are playing out. There are, of course, people that are loyal, but the analysis is that loyalty and that legitimacy for the Islamic Republic is certainly shrinking, and the leadership is relying more on coercive control to stay in power than it is in traditional governance, accountability, and legitimacy, and looking to build bridges with its population.
Okay, well, for the time being, thanks for putting that into context for us, Dr. Sanan Vakil from Chatham House, the think tank based here in the UK. Thank you very much. Of course, we'll continue to monitor what is happening in Iran, and that funeral that will be taking place will bring you the latest for that.